In this video, I'm going to tell you how investing nearly cost me my relationship, how it gave me anxiety, and what I learned about managing money and romance. Well, I've helped lots of people with their finances. I've had my own struggles. While trying to better myself financially, it's really hard to balance how much I should give, how much I should flex or floss to attract the opposite sex. I think this is a struggle a lot of people have, especially in their early years. So I think this would be a good lesson for teens and young adults alike. Imagine meeting somebody you really like, but being afraid to take them out because you're a broke college student, or you decided to start bettering yourself so you're putting all your money into the stock market or something. It makes it really hard to compete with the other guys who are pulling up in, their Benzes and their BMWs, because you got, a 2008 beater car. Even if you haven't experienced this yourself, the anxiety is real, especially for young men when they're trying to uh, build up a life for themselves and eventually for their family, at competing with others that aren't trying to do the same. It's hard. So if your teen doesn't learn this balance early, it can derail their relationships and mess up their financial future. So when I met my wife a couple years ago, I was very much in the thick of my, I would say, financial come up. It's funny because the financial come up does not look like a financial come up. And I remember our first date. I was in my car rental era. So I had a few vehicles, right? My truck looks pretty nice. I'd never be ashamed pulling up in that, right? It's like a 2018 Ram, but it looks good. It looks clean. Okay. Um, but at the time, I had that car rented out. And the only car I had available to me was a 2006 Saturn that I bought for $3,000 off of Facebook Marketplace. So I'm sure you can imagine you don't want nobody to see you in that. So I, pull up to the place. I go to the restaurant. I get there before she does. I park. She comes in later. Looks beautiful. We have a lovely dinner. Ended up staying there 3, 4 hours until they closed. It's funny because after they closed, we walked into the parking lot and there was only like 3 cars out there, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't want her to see me in this vehicle. I wanted her to see me in one of my other vehicles, so I looked, more like I had my life together. So I walked her to her car. Of course, she's in a Mercedes. Why not? And we get to her car. I tell her, "Hey, I had a wonderful evening. Get home safe. Give me a text or a call when you get home, so I know you got there." And she gets into her car, and I'm just kind of lingering around the parking lot, waiting for her to pull off so I can go to my car. And she just sits there. Now after being married to her, I know that she often just sits in the car on her phone for X amount of time before she actually leaves or when she arrives to somewhere before she actually gets out. Anyways, I was like, "Oh, she's still here." I was like, "Oh, now I got to go to my car." And like, I get into the car. I'm like, when you get in the car and you're praying that it starts up on the first time, I'm starting. It's like, and it starts up. And I'm just like, "Oh, please just go." And then she like drives right by, like she pulls up next to me in her car, and she's like, "Okay, hey, da da da, uh, I'll see you tomorrow," or something like that. She pulls off, and I was like, "Oh, okay." She still wants to see me, even though she pulled up, while I was in this car. So it was. I had a lot of anxiety going on, a lot of second guesses, right? Because especially just being a man, I don't know how it is being a woman, but I just know being a man, you feel like you have to have all this stuff together for a woman to be attracted to you or think that you'd be a good provider or partner in life. So that was just something that made it difficult. Something else that made it difficult was I had a roommate. I know all the videos on the internet say men with roommates don't deserve women. Now, the real reason I had a roommate was because I own my house and it's like 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and I'm a single man. I only use my bedroom and the room I have my computer in, and the rest of the rooms have just been vacant. So I figured, ooh, I can rent out a room to make some extra money. I ended up making, an extra $850 a month, and I turned that money into, my first Airbnb. Great things, right? In my head, on paper, it all makes sense. But as far as a relationship goes, it doesn't look great. And I got this beater car. I live with this 40 plus year old man. So whenever she comes over, she sees him. He's like, he's a nice guy, but it doesn't give off what you would be trying to give off when you're trying to, impress a woman. So these were just some difficulties I faced, while trying to get into, the dating scene. I really wanted this, woman to think that I'm worthy, right? Because I know where I'm gonna be in the future, but I have to do these things now to get there. So that's kind of how that went. But we'll get into section two where I'll talk about, how that went and how to work through that. Okay. So like I said, um, I had a little bit of anxiety and I was very nervous just because of the way I was living my life currently. I know I was doing it because I had a grand design, but how would that be perceived, by my now wife? Um, so honestly, what I ended up doing was just kind of openness, right? I pretty much since we first started dating, I let her know who I was. I think that's super important if you're going to have a growth mindset and date at the same time. I think you should be very transparent about what you're doing and what your goals are for life. I'm telling you, on our first date, you can ask her. She was looking at me crazy because I told her, I was like, hey, this is my 5 year, my 10-year plan. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this. I want this. I want a child. Hey, we got one. I want a child. I want, this much in my savings. I want this much invested. I'm planning on having, multiple houses and doing this and going somewhere with the financial literacy business. I laid out all of my goals and explained all the moves that I'm making, that kind of justifies why I'm living the way I'm living. Um, and, at that point, she could either be like, hey, I'm with that, let's do that, or mm, that sounds crazy. Why aren't you spending the money that you have? Um, and but she did the first one, right? So I think you will end up getting into a much better relationship if you are super transparent about what you would like in a partner and who you are as a person just upfront. Like I don't uh there's no point in like lying or trying to put your best foot forward and things like that. Because it's like, okay, well, now you're just gonna be with somebody who only wanted your best foot. And now when she gets the rest of you, y'all got problems. So now you just wasted, however many months or however many years it took you to expose the rest of you. So I think everybody should just jump full force in the first place. Just jump in, let them know who you are, and it works out. In addition to this, I guess if there's any financial advice, when you do get into a relationship with someone, again, just transparency, let them know what you're doing because, you might get to birthdays and they might be expecting this, and that. They might expect you to do the most, to do your big one, as the kids say. Maybe you don't got that. Maybe you just put, $1,000 into Bitcoin or into, Nvidia, and you're like, nope, that's gonna sit there, and in 30 years, I'm gonna be rolling. That's okay. Let her know that. Still do something for her, right? But be like, hey, this and this and this. I'm doing this to show I care. I don't really got the scratch like that right now because I'm doing this stuff. And then, if you're doing it with her in mind, right? Maybe you're doing it for her or doing it for you guys as family. Let her know that so that she knows you're including her in your future and you're not just putting money away for yourself so that you can go do stuff regardless, if she's there later or not. I think that worked a lot. Like I said, she was very open to what I had planned and what I had going on, and she had her own business, so I think we could speak some of the same language. Yeah, it worked out. This is a message to like the young people. Do the financially responsible thing. Don't be out here spending $500,000 on dates. That's stupid. Don't be out here trying to buy her the world, buy her a vacation, buy her, 80 different rings. Don't spend all your money on your wedding. If you get to that point, you can do so much being responsible. How long have I been talking? Uh, nah, I'll make a marriage video later and I'll talk about, how we went about our wedding and the lessons we learned from that. But sneak peek to that, the same amount it costs to rent a venue for one day, we flew to Bali for a week and flew back for the same amount it costs just to rent a venue for one day. Insane. Anyways, if you are young and building, don't let temporary embarrassment stop you from chasing your vision or your person. If you're a parent, teach your team this now. Let them know any history you might have with this matter. Teach them that real wealth doesn't always look rich right away. If you want your team to build confidence, financial literacy, emotional maturity, and everything else supportive of money, check out my free training and apply for Mammoth Money Academy. The link is in the description. This is the education we wish we had when we were young. Thanks.